Hey everyone, Phobos here, coming at you with Act 1 of the Act series that I'm going to be doing, where we talk about each individual act and how to get through it from like a hardcore perspective, basically so you're not dying during the act. We talk about the monsters, where the difficult monsters are, difficult bosses, stuff like that, what you should be doing to get through the act. So like I said, we're starting with Act 1, and I have it pulled up here in the world map. And the first thing you need to know about Act 1 that we want to do is we want to get the Quicksilver from the quest that you do by killing Haildrake, which is the mob that if you go to the coast and you go to the waypoint, you go directly like across and you come into this zone right here, which I think is Tidal Island, and you go to like you walk along the beach, eventually you encounter Haildrake, you kill him, you get the quest item. Haildrake is very easy to kill, mostly just telling you to do it to get the Quicksilver, because if you don't have a Quicksilver, then the rest of the game is going to be pretty slow, because they don't necessarily drop all the time, so you want to get one guaranteed from this quest. Now, you can also mule one, so what that means is you can, like, since it's so quick to get there, you can make one, you can do it on one character and do it on another character to get two Quicksilvers. Kind of just depends. Some people get two Quicksilvers right away. Other people wait till Act 2 and do the cave quest to get their second Quicksilver. There are advantages and disadvantages to both, but you at least want the first one. Now, for killing Glaze, the best way to kill him is to put him up against some type of wall, most notably his boat that he hangs out around, and just spam Spark on him, because the idea is Spark goes through him, deals damage to him once. Once it hits the wall and comes back, it actually deals damage on the return. So that's a very quick way to kill him, but you don't really need to kill him that way. Pretty much any skill can handle him. You just want to dodge his abilities and then attack him when he's open. You'll pretty much be fine as long as you don't eat an entire glacial cascade. If you like, you're actually better off being right in front of him and getting hit by the cascade than at a distance, because the cascade has more chances to hit you multiple times if you're at like medium range, I would say, than if you're like right on top of him. It's just kind of how the skill works. So yeah, just don't be like medium range really, and kill him quickly, complete your quest, move on. So the next thing is going to be the Prisoner's Gate. So the Prisoner's Gate, the best way to get through, or not Prisoner's Gate, sorry, the prison. The prison is going to get you to Brutus, and he can actually be a somewhat hard boss if you're unfamiliar with the game. So what you want to do to make Brutus easier is you want to get some evasion, because evasion is basically going to decrease the likelihood that you're going to get hit by two powerful attacks at once, and that's the main way that you're going to die to Brutus. Typically, as long as you have like a reasonable amount of health, he's not going to one-shot you. What you want to be doing is you want to get, if you can get a little bit of life from your tree by that point, you want it. But you're mostly looking for core wings, the plus 30 flat life rings, or plus 20 to 30. And then you want a leather belt. If you can't get a leather belt, you want just like energy shield belt. And you're looking for mostly evasion gear. If you can't get evasion gear for whatever reason, which you should be able to get some pieces of it, then you can get like additional energy shield gear and stuff like that to give you more EHP. Typically you don't want to use a chest while running in the early game, but the exception is for some bosses like this, especially. Like I'll equip an evasion chest before I go into fight Brutus just to make the fight that much easier, and then I'll just toss it out after the fight's done because you don't really need it anymore. But yeah, you just want to give yourself a chance to dodge the second attack, so if you do get hit by two unlucky big attacks in a row, or if he does get to hit you with two attacks, you won't necessarily get hit, like if you put yourself in that bad position. Obviously, the best advice is to just, play it carefully, attack him when he's vulnerable, when you see his casting abilities. When he goes to wind up, you want to go to the other side of him. You never really want to play Brutus where you're playing out of sight of him, because you have to keep his slam in mind, and his slam branches outward in a cone. So you want to be able to tell when he's doing his slam so you can get on the side / behind him. So you don't want to play completely out of his LOS. And that's the main thing I would recommend. It pretty much you just dart around him, you go behind him, attack him when you have a free opening, and just rinse and repeat. But yeah, evasion's going to really help you there. And then also life flask, because again, the whole point is you want your health to recover to a reasonable state after the first hit, so if you get hit with a subsequent hit, you don't immediately die. So you pretty much want medium life flask by this point, minimum, and if you get like a large life flask, it's great. It's going to make it super easy, but you don't really need it. The Spark Strat works really well for Brutus as well, if you are using Spark or Elemental damage, because what you can do is if you first enter the room and you don't target him at all, you don't hit him with anything, he'll actually just follow you until you engage on him and hit him. So what you do is you run him into the corner of the room, and then you run behind him, and you drop like a totem down or something. It could be a decoy or a flame totem, and then you just start spamming spark into the corner, and he dies relatively quickly. But again, you don't really have to do this, because you can kill him with pretty much any skill. Probably just the most efficient way. So, yeah, that's Brutus. Just remember, evasion gear if you can, totem, spark with the wall if you want, life flask. Those are the keys. Now, moving past that, ship graveyard is going to be the next area I want to talk about. So if you end up deciding to do the ship graveyard cave, you have to be somewhat careful because the pirates in there have flicker strike, and they do a substantial amount of fizz damage, I would say, for your level. So the problem you run into is if you run into a big pack of these, like they'll literally just teleport on you and kind of like global you. So if you don't have a lot of life, and you're probably not going to have much mitigation at that level, so just walk in there and take it somewhat slow. You know, you don't have to like Rambo through that particular zone. Most of the other zones aren't going to be that bad, but that zone in particular can be sort of rough. The Roas in the ship graveyard itself can be dangerous, but most of the time they're not going to hit you. Like a large pack would scare you, but otherwise wouldn't worry about it too much. And I'd say the final group of mobs you need to really worry about is in Merville's Caverns. So it's going to be these sea witches that basically explode. You can tell what they are because they're the red ones. And like the little red ones, they explode on impact with you, I believe, when they touch you. And if you run into a pack of those, you can die pretty easily, especially if you have like a low effective health and low fire res. So I would say you could get fire res for them, but typically that's overkill. This is another situation where you just kind of want to play it a bit carefully in here. You don't want to really completely YOLO through this area, especially if you're new and you're not used to it. If you have fire res, it just makes it easier. Getting to Merville herself, you basically just want to use cold res. I don't really use cold res anymore, but if you're a new player, I definitely suggest maybe just picking up a sapphire ring or something. Every time you go back to town to upgrade, like for example when you get like a skill gem or something like that, you can just check the vendor, see if there's a sapphire ring, because the stuff changes every time you level. You can do that with coral rings and the belts as well as boots, to see if you have any boots with movement speed on them in your vendors. And yeah, you just get like one sapphire ring and it makes the fight pretty trivial. The main thing you want to avoid about Merville is the ice spears, because they do a ton of damage. It's like an ice barrage basically. It goes out in front of her, and if you get hit by all of those and you have a low amount of life and a low amount of cold res, there's a very good possibility you could die. So you kind of just want to make sure you avoid that attack. The AoE rain does kind of substantial damage as well, but it's nowhere near the damage of the ice spear, I would say. Once you get her into phase 2, the fight becomes easier if more annoying. So not really much to say there. You can either just kill her ads, or you can just global her down. Most of the time you're going to have the damage just kind of global her down. You want pretty much a 3-link by that point, but by Brutus I would say most people have a 2-link. But yeah, for Merville you definitely want the 3-link. And yeah, pretty easy fight overall, especially if you get some cold res. So that's pretty much all the tips and tricks for Act 1. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions or anything like that, feel free to leave them in the comments or send me a PM, and I'll be happy to answer them. So thank you very much, thank you for watching, and see you guys next time.